India's story never has been about Nifty or broad indices. It has always been about stock picking. It has always been about investing into right sectors and right companies. And people who have followed that are the ones which have really benefited. So if you tell any of your colleagues to run through that out of top 1,000 companies, how many companies have actually given supernormal return even in a period when Nifty has actually given nothing, rather it has been negative, you will find more than 100 companies which may have given supernormal return even in this period of last 1 year. So I think India's story will continue to be, you don't have to look at the broad indices for money, but you have to look at even within the individual good sectors, you have to finally be able to buy a good company, right? You're just saying that I like this sector. There is so much diversion between company A and company B within the sector. It's all about finally being able to identify a good trend and then being able to buy the right company.
What are the good trends according to you?
So we have spoken about it. Nothing much has changed except a few things. So one new thing which I have added in the portfolio in the last, with all disclaimers, please run.
Yes, thank you very much.
Yeah. So I think what we have added is more weightage on pharma, because again this sector has not done well. Last 12-18 months returns have been negative. A lot of companies have gone 50% negative, while majority of these companies have still reported profits and good profits. Their P multiple have compressed, and I think the reasons were very obvious, because in this entire COVID period of 2 years, US FDA did not visit, so there were no new approvals either of plants or of individual products. So when you don't get approval in the pharma business of products, obviously the competition, whatever limited product approvals which are there, everyone will rush to produce the same products, right? Yeah. And that is what happened, and that is why we saw pricing pressure, specifically in the US generic market. I think that is now reversing. So we are seeing incremental visits coming from US FDA, and a lot of product approvals and the plant approvals are also coming for these companies. Second, obviously rupee depreciation, because majority of these companies are export oriented. It adds to their competitiveness. Third, one big factor, Nikunj, which many people talk about pharma companies, is logistics cost, because ultimately you are moving thousands of tons of material, up and down, both import and exports. And I was reading somewhere that the logistics cost between India and China has gone down as much as 70% from the peak. And China is our biggest trade partner for pharmaceuticals in terms of import of material, etc. So that will again be kind of a tailwind for this sector. So all in all, this is a new thing which I think, from a 2-3 year perspective, if you are able to buy right companies, and they are really available vis-a-vis the market. Again, if you look at earning profile of these companies, they really generate cash. You can see EBITDA to cash conversion is very high. They generate very high ROE and high ROC, and now they are trading at attractive valuations.
Madhu, within pharma, and you have a very deep understanding of pharma.
Yeah.
It is often said on Dalal Street that the way Madhu can understand pharma, even pharma promoters, they go to him for guidance.
No.
You have a very deep understanding of the sector.
Yeah.
There is one Lupin which has got completely brushed aside because of problems in US market. There is one Cipla where margins are at an all-time, stock is at an all-time high. So what is the right way of looking at what to choose within pharma?
So Nikunj, the way I look at it is all bottom up. So we know that the bigger opportunity is there. In the domestic market also there is a big opportunity, as well as worldwide now things are opening up for India. I'll just give you an anecdote. The Russian market for pharma is $12 billion. It's a very large country which was predominantly serviced by global companies. Whether it is Glaxo or, all of those global companies were present. Now we know it is happening in every industry that people are vacating, Russia and
Yeah.
shutting shop.
Yeah.
Now it doesn't mean because they are shutting shop, the pharmaceutical consumption will go down to zero.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
So when I speak to companies where I am invested, they are already sensing good opportunity to enter the Russian market. Now obviously this is not like selling cement or buying coal, which can happen next day. You need to build distribution, you need to build brands. And one more data point I'll just give you about Russia, that there are only 75 manufacturing facilities of pharmaceutical in Russia. Baddi alone will have more than 75 manufacturing facilities, right? So there is $12 billion market. Now how much can we capture? Can we capture 1 billion? Can we capture 2 billion? Can we capture 3 billion? Only time will tell, but the opportunity is large. That's how, apart from the US, what we are seeing, worldwide there is the acceptance of Indian generic and Indian pharma products, which is now happening. Even in Asian countries, a lot of companies when I'm speaking, their penetration is increasing. You will be surprised to know that some of the companies are actually starting to export big time even to China, and that is getting acceptance. So my point is that you have margin of safety in terms of valuation. Wherever you know bottom up that the companies are cheap and stocks have not done well, and you know the capex has happened or over the next 2-3 years, numbers could be good. So I think those are the companies. Now obviously I don't talk individual stocks, but I can tell you there are many opportunities which are there.
You liked PSU banks for almost 3 years now. When you liked them, they were called as the ugly ducklings in the market. And the first reaction was what? PSU banks. Today they are the toast.
Yeah.
Has the party just about started?
So I would say this is not PSU banks. When we bought PSU banks, they were very, very cheap. Because I point.
You still own PSU banks?
Partly, but we have obviously booked and moved on to other financials. We spoke in depth about the financial sector. I remained quite positive on the overall financial sector. And last 3-4 years of cleanup has given them the room. Consolidation in the sector has come. I think that will give them the pricing power. Last 3-4 years, the loan disbursement was very, very minimal. And forget the lender, I think the borrowers are 5 times more careful borrowing money, because hundreds of people have gone to jail, right? So who wants to go to jail? So I think people, when I speak to corporate sector, a lot of them are so careful of taking money. So I don't think the kind of NPL cycle which we saw in the last 5-7 years, at least we will see in our lifetime in India. Right, at 20% of the overall book of the banking sector being provided for, I don't think that kind of cycle will come. So on one hand you have loan growth, on the other hand you have pricing power, third none of the banks need actually capital, they are all over capitalized, and plus they will get absolute ROEs will go up, and this is the best leverage on the economy. So I think overall financial sector, if you take a 3-4 year view. Having said this, let me Nikun say, normally I'm generally bullish, but there's one thing which is coming in my mind this time is oil. When we are at $90, $95 in all this noise, while China is virtually closed today. China consumption of oil has gone down because of the COVID-related restriction. Now OPEC share in oil has actually been going up consistently over the years. So oil remains a big point for India, and if you have higher oil prices, which will mean higher current account deficit, which could mean currency depreciation even going forward. So I'll be very watchful over the next 4-6 months, watching all this global development, as well as some of these things which could impact India. But if you ask me from bottom of my heart, wherever I see opportunity and wherever I see tailwinds, like if you are buying pharma, and if even currency is depreciating, it is only adding to their competitiveness.
Yes.
And the market, in a way, is turbulent. People would like to go into safe havens, and people will like to go for defensive portfolio. So clearly, pharma and IT have proven to be the defensive stocks in the past. So I am saying you hear a lot of noise. Let me just repeat this again. You hear a lot of noise. You keep on monitoring that noise. But the core of it, you be watchful what you want to buy in this noise. Because these are the only times when you can really get equity. Because अब जो मैदान साफ है अगर तो कोई भी बिना नौसिखिया आदमी भी गाड़ी चला लेगा, right?
Right.
So these turbulent times is when your decisiveness, your conviction, your belief in India, belief in companies comes to fore. And because of this volatility, if you want to own something at X price, and if you get it at X minus Y price, then you have to just buy it.
So if there is a macro sell-off,
Yes.
and if that macro sell-off is having impact on individual stocks,
Which it will
which
have.
you will be a buyer.
I'll be a buyer.
But don't you think?
And I'll be a systematic buyer. So I don't want to put all my gun at one go. I'll be a systematic buyer because I don't know where these macros will in a way stabilize. Will they get worse than where they are today? Or will they get better tomorrow? I don't know. So I'll be a systematic buyer in this time frame. And I don't think whatever has to happen in macro also, Nikunj, it is not a 10-year story. I think 4 to 6 months, it will all get discounted in the market.
Now, we've done exceedingly well this year. We are the toast of the town. Some are surprised, some are astonished, some are even jealous that why India is doing so well. But if macro concerns get receded in next 3 months, 6 months, could the reverse happen, which is world comes back and India starts underperforming?
India will not underperform, Kunj. अभी तो पूरा
पार्टी चालू हुई है.
अभी पार्टी चालू हुई है. मैं भी लंदन गया था ना, तो मैंने एक रिसर्च किया कि वर्ल्ड के जो 25 शाने हैं ना, द बिगेस्ट इन्वेस्टर्स इन द वर्ल्ड, वन थिंग कॉमन, नॉट one of them had $1 in India.
Was it?
Relevant.
Yeah, okay, of course.
Relevant, right? When I say $1, अगर किसी का 100 बिलियन का पोर्टफोलियो, उसका 25-50 मिलियन डॉलर डायरेक्टली इनडायरेक्टली होगा, that is different. But there is no significant investment of the top 25 people. Forget the top guy. तो अपने तो अभी कितने लोगों को आना बाकी है बस.
And then domestic flows are strong.
Domestic flow is always there. Is always. I don't think India, tactically for 3 months can there be underperformance if oil is really going up. 3-6 months it is possible. But if you are an investor, you actually don't care about the 3-6 months underperformance. Actually, you are looking for that underperformance so that you can buy the stocks which you want, right? So, but if we take a 3, 5, 10-year view, I don't think there is any bearish case you can make about India.
The consensus view with just about every brokerage is India is great, but valuations are expensive, and that, in a sense, is something which everybody is talking about.
To my mind, it is a big misnomer. Let me speak this year, and this is the biggest point. This is actually a big myth that India valuations are very expensive, because there is a mere certainty of earning in India. Like you can take a case that ICICI Bank will grow at 15% or 25%.
Yeah. Growth to hai.
But growth to hai pakka, right? Can you make the same case with HSBC Bank in the world? Can you make the same case with CSFB in the world? Can you make the same case with Barclays Bank in the world? You can't.
Yeah.
You don't know where the provision will hit, where the bond yield will hit, but you can make a certain case for largest bank in the country that whether you grow 15% or 25%, your growth will be there. So, as an investor, if I am willing to take a 3-year view, then markets are not expensive, adjusted for this growth. But if I want to take a 12-month view, obviously things look expensive. To which investor who is coming from out of India, whether it is a pension fund or whether a large FI, wants to take a 12-month view on India? They just want to buy, with a 3-5-year perspective, right? So actually this is a very big myth that Indian valuations are expensive. देखो जब जर्मनी में कितना सारा कंपनी, हमको यही नहीं पता है कि 6 महीने बाद ये चलेगा कि नहीं चलेगा, और ये अगर गैस प्राइस रह गया यहाँ पे या ये कॉन्फ्लिक्ट रह गया, how do you value these companies? So in absolute terms they may look very cheap, but we don't know the earning only. So how do I derive a PE? And I can tell you, about at least 200 companies in India. I just mentioned one ICICI Bank, where you have a more or less certainty that earnings will grow. You can debate the percentage.
Yes. So true, so true.
Right? So if I'm a 3-5 year investor, I don't think markets are expensive. And the other thing is the quality of balance sheet India has.
Is this the best you've seen in your career?
100%.
Such a powerful point, that these are the best balance sheets what you've seen in your
I have
30 year
seen in
investing
32
career.
years.
Wow.
Across sectors, across entrepreneurs.
And the spirit?
And the spirit is also very high because now whatever capex people are doing, they are doing out of their internal accruals, right? So the ROE will remain very high. The ROC will remain very high, right? Because when I invest my own money and I am not dependent on XYZ, you see large capex happening, even in metal companies. After the large capex also, they are talking of virtually zero debt or very marginal debt.
And there's nothing wrong in debt.
And nothing wrong in marginal debt.
Yes.
But if you are over leveraged, then it's a problem. So you have good ROEs, you have certainty of earnings, and you have very good cash flows supported by domestic demand. Right? Now I just give you another example.
Yes.
Very interesting point. Today, what is the price of steel here? $700. Right?
What
is the
$50,000?
What is the price of steel in Europe? $1,100. Right?
Right.
So there is a quota for steel.
Yeah.
Is there a quota for pipe?
No.
Is there a quota for forging?
No.
Is there
Such
a
a
quota
great point.
Is
Such a great
there a quota for bearing?
Mm-hmm.
Right? So I am getting the raw material at a much cheaper price than what it is. It is a global commodity. I am still getting the raw material at a much cheaper price, and you know,
I'm value adding it also.
And value adding it.
I have a dollar advantage.
And then rupee, a dollar advantage, rupee sliding
Yeah.
advantage. So my competitiveness will be.
So manufacturing exports.
That's what I'm thinking. This is what we are coming to. That's what I'm coming to. Now you say across the board, if you want to buy a bearing company, it may be available at 50, 60 P multiple, but you have a choice. Okay, I don't want to buy a bearing company. I may want to buy a pipe company, which is still available at 5 times EV beta.
So true. And at a time when we know that for next couple of years, CapEx in the energy sector will be strong.
And you want to see now, you see the, you see the commentary by a lot of these companies. The real competitiveness is coming from here. Why are pipe companies winning such large orders? It is because of this. Because if you are based in Europe, and if you are going to buy steel at $1,100, if I am based in India, I am going to buy steel at $700 right now. So we don't know how long will this last. Maybe it will not last for so long. But till the time it lasts, it is a party time for a lot of these guys.
So Madhu, you've always said that focus
and
on...
mind you, Nikul, a lot of these people have been able to clean up their balance sheet, remove debt because of these extraordinary earnings. And they are unlikely that they will leverage now anytime in the future. They will do leverage at a high level anytime in future.
So I'm just going to summarize the first part of our interaction and just, you can say pause, I'll pause. Summarizing the first part of the interaction for the benefit of our viewers. You cannot ignore global cues, especially oil, for next couple of months. That's what Madhu feels. But the reason why he's so excited about the medium to long-term story of India is because balance sheets are better. Indian companies have moved up the value chain. Promoters have a different entrepreneurial spirit. And given what is happening to the world in terms of supply chain disruption, I guess we are not in a sweet spot, but we are in an extremely sweet spot.
Yeah.
That's the thesis of the
bullishness.
bullishness.
And plus high ROE, negligible debt in majority of the corporate companies. So the capex will happen out of cash accruals. So and we have seen when the real exponential wealth created, then when there is an opportunity, you don't need debt and you don't need equity.
Great point. So the profit pool actually is going to be very large.
Yeah, what happened in Sri Cement?
Yeah.
You know, for 20 years they did not need debt, nor did they need equity. And you see what happened to value creation.
Do you see for somebody who takes a 3 to 5 year time frame, that's what our viewers really want to understand from it this year, बड़ा पैसा equities में बनेगा?
बनेगा पक्का, I have no doubt.
And
you just have to be watchful. मैं बोला ना, अपना खान से सब global news सुनने का, अपना दिमाग लगा के स्टॉक स्पेसिफिक ध्यान रखने का, अपना ध्यान ये होना चाहिए कि ये सब नॉइज में अपने को क्या करने का.
How do you do that? Every day we hear one or two reports about this bank could go belly up in Europe, that could go wrong, Fed is increasing rates, cost of capital will change. These factors don't bother you.
They bother me, of course. They bother me to extent that they enable me to buy what I want to buy cheaper with more margin of safety. As long as I am convinced a pharma company will not close down because of the Fed hike or interest rate hike, if they don't have debt, how will it that impact them?
But India is now the 5th largest economy in the world in terms of size.
Yeah.
We are amongst the top 10 market in terms of the market cap. For a large economy in this kind of an environment, when we are debating whether it is going to be a hard landing or a soft landing, but a slowdown is coming, how long do you think we can remain unscratched?
No, it's not a question of because it is impacting us. Our current account deficit is high, the bond yields have gone down, our currency has depreciated. It is not that it is not impacting us as a country. Of course it is impacting us, and that is what is visible in the return. In the Nifty return, you saw the last 12 months we have not made money. Rather, a lot of sectors are down 15-20%. I am saying within this, see, I don't have the disadvantage of managing very large amount of money. So I am speaking from my perspective, and there are so many people who are in my place only, that we have to invest limited money. Are we able to get real opportunities for our limited money is what we are discussing.
Last 3 months you've put more capital to work. Let me put it this way.
I put. Because before that I had sold a lot, because obviously a lot of euphoria was there in mid cap. So we are still sitting in some amount of cash.
Where did you exit? What were the businesses?
A lot of marginal positions were sold off Nikul. Wherever I did not have comfort on valuation, wherever I did not have comfort on a lot of stock prices have gone up quite a lot. Because post-COVID, a lot of companies went 10 times, 15 times, 20 times, 5 times. Obviously, we had some of them in our portfolio, not all of them. So obviously, we exited. We can't speak individual stock, and we are sitting in a good position. But now, whenever I see opportunity, I am a buyer.
Madhu Kela bought a lot of capital goods stocks in 2003. Madhu Kela bought a lot of pharma stocks in 2008 and 2009. Madhu Kela bought a lot of cyclicals and chemical stocks in 2020. He bought a lot of PSU stocks in 2020. What is that mega theme according to you, which could be a multi-year mega theme?
It's all bottom up. We discussed financial, we discussed infrastructure related companies, which I spoke last time. We discussed pharma, and we discussed China plus one manufacturing theme for India. So my basket is from this.
There is no IT in it. There is no digital in it.
There is no IT in it right now. There is no IT, but we have derivative plays of IT which we are playing, but there is no real IT, because again, I don't know this global recession, global play down, how will it impact, but there is no IT in our portfolio, not very large position. I feel financials will make more money in next 3 years in IT.
Our common friend Rakesh Junwala always had two ways in which he would express the market. One, if there is a pretty girl, she will find a suitor.
Absolutely.
What is that pretty girl in this market?
Which we discussed about it, and that's what we are talking about.
I was hoping for a name or some theme.
No, I don't think there is, we have talked enough. In fact, what I would really request you, see, when I talk to you, I really talk from my heart to heart. Every time I come, I say that I will not talk this, I will not talk this, but you have this uncanny art of really taking out the best, at least out of me every time. So, to your viewers, this whatever stocks we discussed, they were only for educational purposes, and
we have not discussed any stocks.
We did discuss the stocks, the sectors. You are requested to consult your own advisor before acting on them.
Of course. Rakesh Junwala also had one more very famous way in which he would capture the market mood. Crisis bol karke nahi aata hai. And today everybody is talking about a crisis, recession, depression. So do you think we'll get surprised? Everybody is suddenly an expert on US inflation, US bond yield, Dow and S&P, and nobody is talking about what's happening here.
I feel, in terms of time, the pain may be there for markets. In the economy, the pain may be there for a long time. But the pain in the market, I don't think will last more than 3-4 months, because, see, we are in a digital era. everything gets discounted so fast. You know, whatever you are worried about, we want to build in the prices, whether in the upside or on the downside. So whether it is inflation, whether it is recession, whether it is geopolitical situation, whether it is strengthening of dollar index, what have we not discussed? For last 3 months we have been discussing these things only.
Whatever could go, जो खराब हो सकता था
जो
हो गया
खराब हो
था।
सकता है सब डिस्कशन तो चालू है ना, कहीं पे तो भाव में भी दिख रहा है ना. The fact that so many Nasdaq listed companies which are good companies, they are down 70-80% from the peak. So somewhere it is also reflected in the prices. तो एक क्राइम करने के लिए कितनी बार मार सकते हैं ना कोई चीज को. तो मैं बोल रहा हूँ तो जो भी होना है ये 2-3-4 महीने के अंदर हो जाएगा.